be live right now. Welcome everybody. And how many users do we have? Let me check that. We should have, there were 2 users waiting. Okay. Hey X, Xavier, always there. Thank you. And so let me know if everything works fine here, all good. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do the part 2 of the live coding. And sorry, here there's a plane over there. Oh no, this seems to work pretty nicely. So that would be the goal here, is to continue our part 2 of the ValKey in Rust. So what we're going to review what we did last time, and then we're going to do the XREADGROUP, which is a consumer group. So that is actually pretty good. So just kind of a new, let me go to this presentation here of what is a stream. So that is kind of a recap in a way. And let me go back there. So a stream in Redis or ValKey is the same, yeah? So ValKey kind of forked out of Redis, and now it's ValKey 8.1. The two are going probably to diverge now, but all of the features that we're talking about is the same thing in both. So you can use both servers, doesn't really matter. And so a stream is basically a persistent list in a way, where you add data with XAdd, so you publish, and then people can read it with a XREAD. So when you do a XREAD with a $sign, that will mean that you read the next one that is coming after you call the read. The nice thing with ValKey and Redis Stream is that it's a push system, so you connect and you can wait for the connection, and it's a very low latency one. So you don't have to pull like Kafka, for example. And then you can also give an ID, or here we give 0 to make sure we read from the bottom if we wanted to. And then the way you control your read is you give the previous ID. So if you do 0, then you will keep the new ID, this one. So here, this is the way I visualize it. And then you will do a XREAD of the last, of the prev ID. And that will read the next one on top. So that is a way that is what we have done. And I'm going to show the code here of this kind of fork. And then the next one is the XREADGROUP. And so that is what we're going to do today. And this is where it gives a whole message queue for jobs in particular, very useful. So in NATS, JetStream is the same thing. You have a group as well, the group concept. And I think it's QGroup over there for consumers. So that allows you to have one or more consumer, hey Mohammed, one or more consumers that are going to read. So you can have many pods. So what we like in production for us is to use Kubernetes and pods and Dockers. And so in this case, you can have multiple pods as long as they use a group name, like this one, for example, video scaler, then they will read out of the same queue in a way, and say group, which means that every time they receive a message, the other one won't receive this message. And that is kind of a big one. So for example, on the same stream, you can have 2 groups. You can have an XREAD group for your video scaler, for example, the one that scales everything to 480p. And then you can have another XREAD group that will scale the things to, for example, video framers that will frame 2 frames per second, for example. And 2 can read in different speeds your stream, and they won't work on each other. So it's like kind of a window where you decide you want to read like that. So this is a very good way of doing your read, and there is a special notation. So that is what we're going to do. Last time here, what we did, if we go to that, this is a code that we have over there. So if we look at the code that we have the simple, which is just a get. So that is nothing stream, but that is a good way, took the example to make sure that everything runs well. We have this one here, which is the XAdd, the simple one. where we're going to add events and read it, and then this one stuff. Now, the cool thing about this is we're going to do that if I'm going to give you the GitHub URL. So that is real live coding, because we're going to create, so if I do a git branch A, and we're going to, so this one was a prep, we're going to do this one here. So git sc, which is switch create or whatever. I have aliases all the time. And xp live 02. Yeah, that sounds good. So we're branching on this one. I updated main, so you have everything we did on the repo. And now we're going to do a gpo-u, and then we're going to copy that one. And that is git push origin. And I think that will push it there. So now if you take this, and then we're going to put it there. If you go there, so that is my J-Mission channel. You can go and find the lab over there. That's pretty cool. So this way we're going to, I will try to commit them as we go along. So it's going to be pretty cool. If you have any question, feel free to ask below. If there's things that you would like to see more on the concept or more on the code, let me know. So the simple is just going to do a simple. We're going to run the XAdd. So that is going to be our little review. The first one that we need to do, so in the README, I'm giving you the Docker. I think I have Docker running, not sure. I'm going to see if I have my Docker. I have my Docker. I don't have, this is my AIP builder Linux, but we're going to run that guy. And there will be a smarter way of giving a name, such as you can do, you can, I think, connect to it and then do the command. Hello, Francais. Yeah, well, a while back. So the funny thing is I still have my airport accent, but I've been living in San Francisco for 25 years now. So I'm kind of oldie here. But somehow the accent didn't fade away. I think I'm kind of tone deaf or something like that. I have something in the ear that doesn't work well. So all of that to say that now we have this guy, which is running our, I'm going to put it below. And let me check here. Yeah, so I have my terminal here. Let me hide myself a little bit. I have the terminal over there. So I like to have this kind of terminal there. Sometimes I have side by side, but here I like to have it like that. And so that would be the Docker. It would be clear that that is the one that runs. And then we go back to this guy. And we're going to do a CWE. I need to give, every time I say that, I need to give this, it's a shell command that does a cargo watch, execute, and so on. And so that is doing a run on C02 simple. And if we do that, boom, it doesn't work. It's not C02 simple, it's C02 XAdd. Okay? So now that will give us that, and that is what we give last time. Okay? So we are doing a read. So if we go to the XAdd over there, we are adding. So we are using the Redis crate. So this one is a good one to use for ValKey or Redis. It's going to be interesting with time because things are going to fork a little bit. Some of us, things are going to diverge for now. So it's going to be interesting how things goes. But for these basic capabilities, this one is the one to go. Very mature, very robust. And we are doing an XAdd, which we add name value pair. So that is going to be very important. And this is meaning that you, ValKey or Redis, take care of creating the ID. Yeah? So the way it works here again is that the way I visualize it is for every entry, you have an ID and then the payload, which is a name value pair. Yeah? So that is the way it works. So now we do all the records here. So we do, what do we do? Yeah, we show all the records. So that is an ugly kind of print. of all of the keys. The name is super confusing because it's keys and then it's ID, but IDs has stream ID and then stream ID has ID and the payload. So it's a little bit confusing, but we're going to make our own API to clean this up. And I'm not saying that that is a crate. Those might have been the name from ValKey and Redis. And so usually when you do a low-level crate, like Redis, crate, you want to match the names of whatever remote type you have. So like these people kind of find their ducks when they know. And then that's it. And then here we're saying we only want one guy. And we're going to do an XREAD with option. And here we are reading the 0, which is the thing I was saying here is when you do an XREAD, except if it's $sign, when you do an XREAD, you give the previous ID, or you can. And so when you give 0, by definition, that is the 0 ID here. I have a question that I don't know the answer yet. We'll go that later. You can give your own ID when you create your ValKey, your entry. Yeah, so every time here, if we do XAdd with a star, the ValKey or Redis will create the ID. And it's two things, millisecond dash and the sequential number of the server. Now, if you have multiple streams and so on, those guys are not unique, which might be, it's mostly fine often. But in my head, I say, hey, could we use our own ID, UUID v7? And then the ID of the stream of any server will always be unique, regardless of, it has been restarted or not or whatever. Or if I have multiple and so on. And that could be good because then we could use that ID in our database if we wanted to store some of the data or whatever. So now my question is, well, does Redis ValKey store this ID in a sequential number, alphabetical number order? Which I think not, because they do -1, -2. So -11 will break kind of in a way. So that is the thing we will work on that later. But that is the thing I'm saying, because last time I was saying, well, let ValKey, when we create a new entry, create this guy. And so we say, hey, you create it. And then it creates this kind of ID. Yeah? So that is in millisecond epoch time. And that is a sequential number to make sure that is unique within this millisecond. So Redis is being very smart about that. But I do think that that is stored as a string on the server, I think. And so we could create our own value if we wanted here. So for example, if we wanted, we don't want to do that because I think it will break if we run it twice. But for example, we say hello 1, 0, 1, which is very bad. Press save. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. That is interesting. Why does... I thought we could provide our own name. Okay. So we're going to do that. We're going to steal this guy. And then we're going to say, well, we're going to test if it's a format that it doesn't like. Okay. We'll deal with that later. I don't want to go too deep on this guy for now. So I thought that we could, well, now, once I have something in my head, kind of stuck in it. So now let's go there. We go to the ValKey. So you could go to the Redis doc, it's the same one. But actually the ValKey doc is actually even better. So documentation, and then this one, and we do an XAdd to make it bigger. XAdd, click here, and there's a key business. The ID stream command will auto-generate a unique ID for if you give ID specified with star. So that is what we did, yeah, as key character. However, while useful only in very rare cases, it is possible to get well-formed ID. Well, so my UUID v7 is gone, yeah, by 2 numbers. Yeah. Yeah. So that means, let's forget about the UUID v7, that won't work. So it has to be well formatted. So my advice of the last part is still stand today. Use star, yeah, because otherwise you get into trying to generate your own, which is not really needed. So then what we're going to do is a question here. So I'm going to answer these questions a little bit. There's a couple of questions. Are we seeing them? Sorry. J'ai découvert la chaîne dans la semaine, franchement, top pour un gars comme moi qui veut se lancer dans Rust. Yeah, Rust is awesome. So basically, he says that he discovered the channel last week and then he likes it. That's good. I'm small somehow. I have a low ceiling, thanks for whatever reason. Here, stream means the data. Yes. the stream here has nothing to do with the video or YouTube. Stream ValKey or Redis has different data type. Yeah, they have the key value name, they have list, they have hash map, I think, and they have one which is what they call stream. And with a stream, you have a set of command, which is all of the XAdd, XREAD. And before, when you wanted to do a queue system with Redis, we were using list, which was not really a good one. It was better to use other MQ, actually, but kind of work. And Redis is very simple and very efficient. But then, since 5.0, they created Redis stream, which has this kind of persistent in memory, or they kind of cache it sometime, I think, on disk, but they have this persistent kind of stream, this kind of list with all of these capabilities of reading after, before, from ID and group and so on, which is very good for queuing, for job queue, for message queue in general. And they also have another type, which is publish subscribe. So publish subscribe is you send an event, and then if people are not listening, then they don't get it. They never get it. Yeah? So that is very efficient in a way, and that is good for message broadcast. So if you listen, if you are awake and you listen to the event, you get them. But if not, you don't get them. A stream is different. A stream is the Redis ValKey is going to store that in memory or whatever they store it, and then they will give the consumers or the client a way to read it with all of these capabilities here, which is basically we can read with group, queue group kind of things, which is very powerful. So we can have multiple groups. So that is a stream data type of Redis/ValKey. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense and answer the question. So now this is pretty good, and we read with option here while reading from 0 and everything. The next one that we did is that guy, the C03 async. And the reason why we did that is because we wanted to test that guy, which is the XREAD group. So we created a group, and then we add, and we make sure that, I'm sorry about this. This is what we're going to do today. We didn't do the group yet, but what we did is we made sure that we can add, and in parallel, we do the read. So we do a read of 0, I think, and then we make sure that we keep the previous ID, and then we keep reading. So that is what's happening over there. If I go to the code, and what is happening in the code here, we can see it. We are doing the writer here. We send a value. We send this value 1, value 2, value 3. That is the ID that it generated. The reason why it's always -0 is because it's a different millisecond over there, because we are sleeping in our code. If we go to look at the code, we are sleeping 200 milliseconds. Yeah, so that's the reason and stuff. If I were going to remove this beast, And do I clean the question is, do I clean the, yeah, you need to make sure you clean the stream because otherwise it's going to be confusing. But if we were not going to, and so this JC live coding, they serve at two purposes. The key point is, this is a way I learn new technology all the time. I need to get back into the Redis ValKey stream here because we're building an application for ourselves, for our clients. And the Rust web app architecture, the Rust 10x, were very event-based. So that's the reason why having a good MQ infrastructure is very critical. And Redis is a very good, simple MQ infrastructure. And if you need more, there's NATS Jest streams that I like too. The RabbitMQ and Kafka, I'm not a big fan of it. They are kind of heavy and complex. I think Redis stream, ValKey stream is great. And NATS is also interesting. I will play with it. I'm not sure it's as efficient in the memory, but we'll see that later. So the way that I like to do it is I like to, so I use AI for programming a lot now with my AI pack and everything. So use AI a lot. But here I'm not in a zone where I want AI to start creating stuff. I really want to understand the core principle of the protocols and all these kind of things. So we use AI actually to create this one, but not those guys. But then we really spend time to really understand and change it and shaping it the way we want it. Yeah. So that is the thing that happened. We did the last ID 0. We could have done 0, 0 like that. Redis is nice with us, ValKey. And then we do a block. We do a block on 2 seconds, which means we are waiting for 2000 milliseconds. And then we are reading the things on an await. The cool thing with Redis stream, ValKey stream, is that it's on a push. Yeah? So you actually hold a connection, and then you do the await, and then it will pull you stuff. So that is pretty cool. Yes. Okay, I can answer this question. This is very good. And we're going to answer that because we don't have the group yet, but we're going to see that. This is a very good question. So from Xavier, all consumer reading using groups gets a unique value. Yes. What happens if the consumers with a different group but on the same stream tries to read? Do they get unique entries? Or consumer from each group get their own unique copy of the stream? It's exactly that. It's your second one here, and so that is very important, is this guy. Yeah? Here in this visualization, we have 2 different groups. So a group, we're going to code it today. It's a little bit more management. You need to create it, I think, at first, and then you need to kind of read it. And when you create it, you decide where you want to start the cursor, in a way. And then every time you do a read, it will give you the next one. But for this group, for the group you have created. And this is what we are doing a lot. And we're going to do a lot of production coding now live. So I'm trying to get into this kind of things and see if it works with the channel. But in our architecture, so, I have a company which is called, that I started in 2009, which is called Bright Snow. And we do big apps, small team. So that is the way I like to describe our kind of things. And we do this kind of architecture as a service. And also we allow development. So we had quite a bit of clients in the healthcare and the IoT, everything. And architecture is a little bit like that on the cloud. Yes, we have Kubernetes, we have Rust, we have AI sometime now, obviously makes sense. We could integrate other guys. We can run on anything thanks to Kubernetes. And then, sorry. And then we have our architecture in such a way that, okay, sorry. That was the Bright Snow, architecture here, sorry. So that is a company here where, we have been building big apps with small team, and we still, I'm running this company right now. for the last 15 years. And then we do Rust, Kubernetes, and obviously some AI integration when needed. And we can run on any cloud thanks to that. The blueprint is fully open source. Yes. So if you go on the blueprint side, and that is that side, this is where it's our blueprint. So we have the front-facing services, and those are REST or JSON RPC. And then we have the backend services. So what I like to say is cloud development is not about microservices. Sometimes you have terminologies that kind of pickups, and then somehow we collectively get emotionally attached to it. Microservices shouldn't have been a thing because the key is multi-services. The fact that a service is small or big is unrelated to the system architecture. Yeah? So some services might be very small, might be lambdas, yeah, where you don't want to have a persistent server. Some might be a little bit bigger. It doesn't really matter. You can start with one and go to the other one, go to Fargate in the middle. It doesn't really matter. What matters is kind of the blueprint architecture that you have. And so in our architecture, we had this one where all of the runtime kind of things is Kubernetes, and then we have this message queue. The things that we really run is we have these services, which is a backend services. So those guys need to be request response, RPC, and REST is RPC kind of way, obviously, and you have to contortion it into a HTTP protocol. We prefer JSON RPC, so that is where we go usually when we go there, when it's possible. But then behind the scene, we don't have service 1 talking to service 2 directly. Service 1 can scale horizontally. They all can scale. This one could be a Lambda, for example. But then they get their messages into a queue system. And so that is where once you have an event-based architecture, it always scales better. A little bit more work to set it up, but if you have a good practice, kind of works very well. So that is kind of our architecture that we have been going for like 15 years, and we have been maturing. Yeah, we're always making it better. So Rust is one of the next iteration to make the whole thing better, because you can collapse complexities and memory and everything. And so that is why we're doing the thing in Rust. So in this example here, we are doing the last ID over there, and then we're sending the thing to, this one is the reader, and that is a writer. So the writer, and we write, and we sleep for 200 milliseconds. If I were going to do that, I think we're going to see some of these numbers going up here. So we press save, and then boom, we get it, at least one, yeah, because they are within the same millisecond. So here I'm doing that because I like to space it out a little bit to mix it. And then we did the write, and then we have the reader, and the reader you start at 0. That will have worked as well. That works fine. And I press save all the time. So that's why I like to have the cargo watch. Yeah. Cargo watch, and I know Bacon is pretty good. I did a video on Bacon, but I actually like the simplicity of cargo watch. There's no, I do a clear -c that clears the terminal, and then it does the cargo watch. You can also use watch exec, which is pretty good as well. So here I just do a cargo watch, or you can do a watch exec on the run of that examples. So that's why we have the thing there. And then we have all the reads. So we can see that we sent everybody, and then eventually we are receiving, the thing. And that is read. We're going to make it read. Okay. So that works pretty well. We don't have group in this mode. Yes. In this mode, we have everything kind of reading. And so we don't have the group thing. Let me go there to make sure that. So now what we're going to do is, what we want to do is the XREADGROUP. So that is these guys that we want to do. We want to have 2 groups here, which is going to be group 01 and group 02. That is going to be the thing. Okay. So, okay, so that is the thing. So now what I want to do is, I'm going to come back here, git C, and we're going to have C03 async. Typo. Yeah. It's not typo, but comment. Yeah, whatever. So that will be, because we changed a little bit the commit and I want to have a new clean one. So now what we want is, we want the same thing, which is we want the same writer business. So we're going to write val1, val0, val1, val2. We can go actually up to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, paste this one. So I'm going to be happy with that guy, and we're going to do the X group. The group, yeah, X group, yeah. It's not really X group, it's S3 group, but that's fine. Okay, and now we are going to do to my cargo watch. I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to run that last guy, the 4X group. Okay, now everything works, it's fine. There's a bug in VS Code that, the thing gets in low transparent mode somehow. So you have to restart the file. So now, and then there's another one here question. Yes, XREAD with group, you need to create it first. Yes, with sgo. This guy that takes group name and consumer name, and I don't think it takes consumer name. So I think it's pretty nice. Or you can use xgroup create. Okay, I usually use xgroup create. Yeah. And as consumer create. Yeah, that is right. And X is pretty good at, he's pretty advanced already. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to do that guy, git add the new file, git C, which is git commit is an alias, git commit things. I'm adding it, C04, X group, and first pass to put the expectation low. So now I'm committing that, and I like that, such as I'm going to advance it. In my head right now, this is not X group at all, but I'm going to git amend until we make the group work, and then we'll do more commit if it's needed after. So that is my strategy in my head. And so now, to the point of X on the void byte on the chat, we're going to check this guy. And in the old docs, they changed everything in Redis, getting confusing a little bit. They had a good doc on the stream by topic. Okay, that's pretty good. I think they took the doc, so stream. Yep, pretty good. So it's good to see the crate. I will go first there to really understand the model. Again, use AI for coding, no brainer. As much as you can, every time I do something, every time I do a line, I say, should I use AI? No brainer. But understand first, yeah? Or use AI to understand. The AI shouldn't be used as a way to not understanding what we're doing. These things for your cloud apps is critical. If you let AI go free range, it's going to create a kitchen sink. Yeah? Because the truth is, there's more bad code than good code. There's more bad design than good design. So it's not the AI's fault. He learns from us, yeah? And well, we could be better. So the trick is, here this ValKey Redis is top technology, and we need to understand the concept. And then once we understand it, we can use AI. And so what I'm going to do, or then, or even in between, but it's not a substitute to learn. So that is going to be the entries and then getting data. So that is what we did. And I think listening new items, that is a good one to read. Consumer group, okay. So we're not going, I already have the visualization of consumer groups. So I think we're going to be fine. What we want is the thing to say what VoidByte said about the X group used in order to create or destroy, manage consumer groups. Okay, so that's cool. XREADGROUP is used to read, okay, and XHack is a command that allows a consumer to mark a pending message correctly processed. So that is very important here, this guy. Creating a currency, we do a staff race France, haha, and then France riders. Okay, we're going to be much more boring than this guy. We're going to have S group 1, 01, S group 02. And that is the thing. So what we want is we are going to say we do the create. So we still create or everybody, and we're going to create a little bit more. Let's go to 10. Okay. So that basically with Redis or ValKey, that will create the thing, all of the messages. So now we should have up to 10, I guess. Yeah, and up to 9. So now the reader guys, we're going to put them on pause for now. So I'm going to comment that. And I'm going to keep the code here. I could delete it and then keep it there. Right now I'm keeping it here. But since we have, and this is one of the reasons when I learn something again, this XP stuff has been a game changer for me. So this is my practice. Yeah, if I go ls on the guy, something like that. This is all of my Rust XPs that I have. Yeah, Blake Burn and stuff, PubSub and everything. I always have, every time I'm learning new things, I do that. And I have this chapter business that allows me to, step from simpler to more complex. And that has been a game changer because I can have my things and then I come back 6 months after and I say, I just want to learn that. Yeah. And I know where it is about. So this is for me, it has been very effective to learn Rust. So now go back to Carward, this one, and we're going to, we commented that. So that kind of works. One thing that is going to complain is unused. So usually I go back to my cargo and I uncomment this one, which is going to allow unused. Clippy is amazing when you do production coding or even sample coding is good to enable, to keep it enabled and to clean the code. When you do like that, I like to remove the noise. I don't like noise. So I do that often. And now so we create the things and now we're going to create a group here. So we're going to create a connection. So I don't want to go too deep. What we've learned in the previous stream is that if you don't create, even if the docs say, the Redis docs say that you can clone the connection, if you clone it for writing and reading in the same stream or whatever, create issues. So my recommendation is for all the readers can have the same clone. That's fine, I think. But the writer, I like to have it a clone per writer in a way. Yeah, so like this, a connection per writer, I mean. So this is going to be my strategy until proven wrong. Because otherwise it's super hard to debug. The question here is no, not all of this XP things are on GitHub, because some of them are, a little bit Jamie cuckoo stuff. But if you go to Jamie Chon channel here, so it's a dash channel, you will find the one, and usually I put the videos link as well. So you have ValKey, you have the SQLite, you have the Blake. That is before, that was an experiment. It was not even XP. That was mine before there is more kind of dirty experimental code there. The XP Lua I have there. So I have quite a bit there that I put there. So when I do a video and I say, hey, this should be shared, I usually put it there in the Rush channel, Jamie Chon dash channel. Hopefully that helps. So now what we have our 9 guys, our 10 guys over there. And what we want is, we are going to focus on this file. I'm going to create a cone writer. Yeah. I'm thinking about something. The thing I'm thinking right now is, does client can be cloned? Is it a clonable guy? It is. So we're going to have a connector to Redis by itself. It does not do much. It provides convenient way to fetch in the future. We plan to provide connection pool in the client. Okay. I think they changed a little bit this strategy, because now connection can be cloned when a client URL is falling. So I think the clone is okay. Yeah? So the reason why I'm saying that is to say, rather to have this guy doing the connection here on top, is, can I move it there? Because this one is clear that, it's more sandboxed over there. And so now if I press save on that, it's going to complain. Yeah, because we are using client. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I'm going to keep it there for now. I don't have the error handling there. So I'm going to keep it there. Okay, so we're going to have another writer here, and we'll optimize that later. I think, yeah, that's fine. We're going to optimize that later. So we have another con writer here, and we're going to do a con writer. And then we're going to do a create. So that is a way I do often. I do the autocomplete business, and I do these kind of things. So I think this one is the one that X, I'm not calling you X because otherwise it's confusing with the stuff. Where is he? Oh, void byte was talking about. You have two kind of create, the create mkey stream, which I think what it does, mk, okay, grab support creating a stream automatically, yeah, if it doesn't exist. So it doesn't, it will create the stream automatically if it doesn't already exist. And I think that is a good idea, because if you don't do it, then it will fail. And you don't necessarily know when you start a pod that the stream exists. You know the one you want to follow, but you don't know, if it already exists or not. When you do a next add, it will create it automatically. Yeah. So this is what we want to do, is we want probably to do the create mk stream. And then we're going to have the key, which is our string key. So this one will be a C04 to follow the pattern. And so we're going to use the stream name. We're going to have the group, which is going to say, we're going to say like that, XREADGroup, group 01. Let group So one, cool. Okay, so the group will be this guy, very boring name. And then the ID, so I'm going to do a KI. No, okay. And the ID, I'm not sure it's going to explain what is the ID. ID, this one or that one. And I think is, let's go because there's a way here. So because means the current greatest ID in the stream specifying will have an effect of consuming only new messages. If we do 0, that will be at the beginning of the thing. And I think there is also a lesser than or something like that. Or greater than. Well, now it's there's something like that. I don't remember. Well, okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this silly search here. But there is something where you do a XREAD group. And then it's going to be okay, cool. That's it. If the ID is special ID, this one greater than, then the command will return only new message never delivered to other consumers so far. And as a side effect, will update the consumer group last ID. Yeah. So that is what we want to use usually. If the ID is any other valid numerical ID, then the command will let us access the history pending message. It is a set of messages that were delivered to these specific consumers. Okay. So we're going to do something like that. We're going to put the option here. So we're going to follow that guy, yeah, the reader. So the reader pattern was a good one. So I don't need this because it's actually I don't want to copy on that. Why do I? So we're creating the group right now. And that should be probably an await. Yeah. So that should compile. The ID should be that. Let's put that. And then we're going to have the code that we had before. So it's going to be the same kind of reader guy. Then we're going, honestly, con group. I'm going to do like that, this strategy for now, because I'm using it once here and then I'm moving it there. So it will be completely fine. I don't need to create another guy. So I do this and that will be the stuff. That should be completely fine. Now, this one is complaining. It's funny because it was not complaining. It was not complaining. What does it complain here about? Oh, I need to do this kind of thing, yeah. No, it doesn't return any type. As you have to be careful here. This is not the full Rust code, but they have a macro and things, so you don't see the full things. But why does it complain and it didn't complain when I did that? Oh no, it complained also. Okay, good. I was confused. I thought it was not complaining when I did that. So I commented this out because I don't know if it, sometime in Rust when you add things, it complains. So that is what I have. So what do I do? The ID and things. So what does it complain about? Okay, let's see, required bound. Oh, city. No, from Redis. Oh, I do need that. Well, I'm going to explain what this is a little bit. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's powerful, but sometimes it might throw you off a little bit. All of these functions have a generic, which is a return generic. So if I go there, they have the RV. Yeah? And the RV is a from Redis value. And which is very powerful in many ways because it can do the things. The trick is you have to give it because otherwise it doesn't know which function to take. Because when you have this kind of generic, what the compiler does is it creates a new function actually for all of this, combination. But when you are giving K and stuff, it knows what you are giving. But if you don't take the response, then it doesn't know what RV is. So it's complaining. So one way that this API does is say, hey, if you don't care about what that is returning, tell it that to return void, and that should be okay. And I should be able to do a cargo here, but I don't think that would be. But then after I will have to give everybody. So, okay, let's do some Rust here. Everybody like Rust. So we can do that. And that is the simplest way in a way. If I wanted to get fancy, I don't want that. I think we could use a turbo fish. And then in this case, we'll need to give all of these guys. But all of these guys could be inferred in a way. So you will do, I'm going to try to see if Copilot can, no. So I will do a kind of, will I do an A? I don't know. Perhaps. And then I will do infer this one. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So infer this one, and then 4. That should kind of work. That might not. That's it. It works. Yeah. So now that is not clean, yeah, because it's heavy. So the recommend way to say, hey, don't painful here, because all of these guys can be infer except the return. So that is why we had before underscore void, and then it's going to be a happy camper, and then we get our stuff. So that is a way. So we create a group. We don't need a handle anymore because we're going to read it on the thing. Hey, thanks, VoidByte. So yeah, that's a turbo whale. It's a good one. It's pretty cool. That was a turbo whale. This is a good. I never heard about that. Yeah. I like, and in fact, the thing on this one is I do like turbo fish, but I don't like turbo whale. So as long as it's not a whale, we are happy. When it becomes a whale, we have, this one is a good one. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do that guy. Yeah? And we are going to do this. I don't know if we're going to do that. So I'm going to keep it like that for now. And again, it's been a long time I haven't played with it. So again, when I do this XP, usually I'm keeping the learning live. So I'm showing what I'm doing anyway. So I'm not sure we need to have the last ID again because the group should take care of it, yeah, because we won't know what the other consumer does. Because the goal here, again, I'm going to show back this here. Those pods here, those are consumers in a MQ naming kind of things. And so there's no way for pod 1 to know what ID pod 2 read. I mean, that will add such a level of complexity. Yeah? So that is the whole goal of the group. Yes, so all of these guys are dumb, they just read. And Redis ValKey is smart enough to only give this line only to one of those guys. Okay? So that is where things. And in NATS, just stream, it's again, it's Q group, I think, or something like that. So we're going to do the block here. This one is a good one to have. And by the way, this one is an option. You pass it as a reference, which is cool. So we wouldn't need to put it in the loop. Over there, an optimization would be obviously to put that over there. You don't need to create it all the time. Very minor, but whatever. And then we're going to do a let result. We're going to assume that is going to send back the same kind of guy. It might be a stream read group, perhaps. No. No, I think this is the way it does. Yep. Group creation takes only IDs. Oh, Savior, it doesn't take this? Okay, we'll go with that for now. I'm just checking if there's a group. No. Oh. Huh. Okay. I think it's group info. So I think this one is the same one. And we're going to do con1 groups, X group, read. No, that's fine. So it probably follows the order as group. Oh, wow. Interesting. Oh, okay, cool. With group or dot group to take a group consumer. You are awesome, exploit. So we're going to do that. And we're going to do what you are saying here is with group. Well, they don't have the with group, yeah. That is Jamie stuff. So we do a group. Yeah. And then group 1. Yep. So I'm thinking here. So it takes the group name and it get the consumer name, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So the group name is that guy. Okay. That would be the group name. So for us is group staff, and the consumer, that would be this guy. In production, what we use is the consumer for us is the pod ID. It's perfect. It's unique. We know it's ID. For us, we have one Docker image per pod. Yeah, so usually we take the pod ID as the reader or the worker or something like that. And then, so we need to pass those two guys over there, which makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to let consumer name. Okay. That's fine. And then we'll create another consumer just to show how things work. It's going to be cool. So we're going to have the consumer. So usually, obviously, in production code, you wouldn't have stuff like that. But I like to have the single files where I get my little use cases, such as I can learn all of these little nuances and everything. And my goal is not to go fast, is to really understand the thing. Yeah. So I'm going to do, again, Very boring consumer 01. Now, the cool thing is you can have the same consumer name listening to different stream and different group, and that will work fine. Yes. So that is what we have. We use a pod name as a consumer name, but then you can listen to different working group. And so what matters is the work group you're listening. So to your point here, xvoid is we do a consumer name like that. Okay, and that looks pretty good. It compiles. Thanks a lot, void byte. That is awesome. And then we are going to go, sorry, being slow. We're going to do the XREAD. So we have XREAD option and those guys. In fact, we're just going to copy that. I'm going to be lazy, yeah? Oh, we can even copy those guys. Okay. Yeah, that might create more problems than anything else, but we're going to create that guy. Okay, so I'm going back there. And I'm going to do that. Does it compile? Last ID. That is a thing I don't understand. Do I want to pass the last ID? This is the thing I don't understand. The last ID, I don't understand the last ID stuff. Oh, no, because I'm reading the wrong. No. I'm sorry, but I don't understand here. I don't understand the last ID guy. Ah, you're right. You're right. What byte? Okay, we go back there. I think you're right. I got confused about where to use that guy. So, XREADGROUP. Okay, the thing which is confusing, honestly, I understand why they did that is I was expecting to have an XREADGROUP to be home in a way. But I understand why it's the same function for all and it's just a group. I think it makes sense. I was just expecting to have this, but it might be the same thing. So when I do an XREAD in Rust, and if there's a with group guys, it's going to do a XREADGROUP group, and it's going to give that, and then 0 without any count option will just be only pending. You're right. And then that is what you are right. Yes. And so now is when we create the group, X group create. Oh, create. X group. What is the stuff? Of course, you can specify any other, if we provide $ when we create a group, yes, so that is create a group. If we provide $ as we did, then only new messages arriving in the stream. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you were right, void byte. So here's the thing, I got it wrong here. So you were right. So this could be any ID or any, this is very cool. Okay, sorry guys, we're getting there. Oh, I wasn't there for a long time. Well, that's maybe why people kind of left. They needed to see me. So then the thing here is that we need to do something like that, where I'm going to do, okay, so what they are saying is say either we do 0 and it says we start at the 0, this window here, or we can do an ID, or we can do $, which is, again, after that command would get executed, any new messages. So that makes complete sense. Yeah, it's where do you want to start? Back there, where do you want to start your cursor? Basically. Yeah, so that is the things here that we want to know. So the thing here is that what we want, we're going to say we want to start at 0. Yeah, we start the windows at 0. And then you are completely right, Savior and stuff. That is where we give this guy. Is it this guy? Yeah. Is it a, yeah, I think, is it a greater than? Yeah, I think it's a greater than. And so that means anything that didn't send. So we're going to go back to our doc over there. And we're going to check that. XREADGROUP. Repair just read stuff, and then, okay, special. Yeah, this is special ID is only valid for the context of the consumer groups. It means that message is never delivered to other consumer. Yeah, this is almost always what you want. However, it's possible to give stuff. Yeah, so that is what we want. We want to make sure that we go back. So that's it. And let me know here. And then we are going to, so we don't need to keep the last ID. Group reader. So we're going to say group. Zero one consumer. We're going to do that is our consumer name. And we can just do consumer. We don't have to do that. And we're going to actually, yeah, that's fine. Consumer, read ID, field staff, read sleep. And we're going to say X read group. Okay, so now something is off. Oh yeah, I think I know what is off. This one would have been tricky if I didn't think about it. Yeah, so we write, and then we delete. We're going to remove this guy. And press save. Well, this is pretty good. Okay, and that is pretty good, yeah? So we get all of the guys here, over there. So we write, we write our 10 guys, and then we have our group one here and our consumer one that read all of the things. So that's pretty good. And now, what if we wanted, so thanks, so we have everything working very nicely here. And so that is what we want, yeah? So what we want is when we create the group, we decide where we put the cursor. And then, again, my strong stuff is to do that, to read the things of stuff. Now, the right way of doing it here is once you have done the job, yes, simulate job. Now we're going to go and I'm thinking right now, as you say, we're going to do another one, which is good. Yeah, this one is already pretty cool. So this one, we have the basic working, but we don't have, we're going to create another C05, which is simulator of jobs in a way. Yeah. So this is one. And then usually what you will do, I think over there, is you will do something like that, where you will do an X hat. ACK. Does it have an XACK? Yes. The key, which is our stream, which is a stream ID. No, I'm sorry. Which is stream name. Okay, so that is a key, which is a stream name. The group is our group 1. And now we have the set of IDs. The problem is all these kind of guys, they are a tricky one. So you wouldn't really send. Okay, and the ID, yep. Okay, it's not a very good way, but it's a safe way. I'm going to explain why. And then we're going to have stream ID here. Yeah, still have the same business. I think it would be a good idea to get oh no, we just need to get the error, I guess. And that it will complain here, which is fine. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do, so I think I do, this is getting a, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the easy way right now. I'm going to do map, because like that, it map error. No, it's not what we want. That won't work. So I'm trying to like get the error right now without, I think this might be okay. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay, because I don't know what the type here, and so it can infer the error type. It cannot infer that. That in my code wouldn't work because usually I have the result type to my thing. So I will need to do a core result. Oh my God, result. Yeah, but this one is good. So I have that, and then I'm going to do res, and I'm going to do match if let air res Okay, that's good. That's it's Copilot that did that. Not too bad. So that's pretty good. And we have the okay stuff. And then we should have the last one, which is 9. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We can remove the consumer over there because we have the consumer name in the name, so we don't have to do silly stuff. Yep, everything is beautiful, working beautiful. So what we're going to do is git log. Always do a git log before getting a git amend. So you have to train your muscle memory and git amend. I'm going to do a git log again because to make sure that I didn't push it, it's just my local git amend, git push origin. Boom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and we're going to create a C05 job simulator. Okay, so that is what we're going to do now. So it's going to simulate kind of a job. That would be the goal. So I go back to Cargo Watch. I'm going to do a C05 job sim. Interesting. Yep. Yep. That makes sense. I do a C04 as group. Yep. So what we have here is a group already exists. And so we need to handle that in a way. So I'm going to delete this guy because it didn't create anything. And I'm going to go back here. Yeah. I'm going to go back here. And we're going to, so there's two ways we can handle the case. And that is very important. And this is something that we did in the past. We want to make sure that it works with, like server doesn't have to be too smart about who is creating the group and everything. So there's a whole little dance that I like to do to make sure that it's resilient. The group is already started. It's not a system bug, basically. Yeah. It's probably a different strategy, but that is one that we like to do. So S group, group, okay. So now what I'm looking at is sometimes they have quite a bit of, so now I'm going to look at, actually I'm going to go to the reference, document, command reference, X group. So like this, we'll have the whole spec, kind of. Oh no, that's not nice. Oh, X group create, good. X group create group, M key string, and entry reads. I don't know what is that, but there is no like don't fail on already created. Yeah. So probably in our logic, what we will do in this case, in our production code, what we did is, so we had the thing in Node.js TypeScript in the past. And so what we did is, when the pods wake up or whatever, and when the service wake up and there is a first pod, we don't know who is going to create the group. Yeah, we don't want to start having a crazy mode where people are, what we want in our architecture is that this service here, nobody needs to know that it exists. Yeah, so that is my event-based architecture. I don't want someone else somewhere that knows, oh, there's a video scaler over there that are listening to these events and I need to create groups for it. I want it to be what I'm calling self-feeding or self-managing. So because this guy is going to have any number of pods, it can come in, come out. I don't know what has been created already. Yeah. So that's why I like this MK stream stuff, because it will create the stream if it's not created, because a group needs to be attached to a string. And because, yes, you're right, yes, every group has a unique name. What I want is the pod to check if it exists. If it doesn't exist, create it. But then it fails because it's already created. It's no big deal. I just put a debug and then I move on with my life. It's there. Okay? So that is kind of a little way here, because they don't give us an API to say ignore if create. Sometime in SQL, you have create tables if not exist. Yeah. So I don't think they have a if not exist, which is fine. So for us, it's fine. We'll do the things to avoid the error, because I'm going to assume that Redis will do more work and it's not good for the log to see this error. I'm going to first check if it already exists. We're not going to do it today, but first, if it already exists, and if it doesn't exist, then I create it. And then it complains when it created, I trace it, and then I move on with my life. Yeah, and it's not an error. It's not even I trace it as an error. It's not even a warning. It's just an info. It's say, okay, this guy, that was already created, but it's part of the system. Yeah, because there's going to be these cases where the things will be on the match. So that is what I'm going to do, which is over there. So on this one, I don't want to check first, but I don't want to complain if it cannot create. So this is this guy here where I don't want a question mark. I'm going to do a match on this await. And then I'm going to have, okay, that's interesting. No, not here, sorry. So this one is correct. It's this guy here where I'm going to do, I'm going to do that actually. Well, it's always a pain here to do this kind of things. Yeah, this one is not. This is where I might need the cargo where in a way. Okay. Group create res. Okay, so sometimes it's good to go stuff, and that will be a result of void. And then unfair the guy. I don't need to know to be too smart. So that will work. And then I'm going to say if let air, and I'm going to ask the other guy to create it. Well, he's trying to be too smart here. Do I need to do this? I don't know why he did that. Why this guy doesn't work? Oh, match. Sorry about that. Okay. So I should have a group already created business. Yeah, group one or stuff. So that is what I will do. And again, I will do a smart on start because you only do it on start, not on every messages, obviously. So on start of the pod, I will check, hey, does this group already exist? If not, I create it. And if it complains, I just trace it and I move on. Yeah. So that is what I will do. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And then what I'm going to do is, so then that is good. So now I can copy it, the stuff. So I go back to this guy and I'm going to do git c c04 x group fix group create when exist. Okay, that path you have it over there in the URL that you have. Now I'm going to copy this one to C05 X, not X, we're going to do groups. Okay, that's fine. With a S. Yeah. That's fine. The name can change later. So I'm going to go there, that stuff, go back here, stop this guy, and do C05 groups. And then the goal of this guy is going to be running. So everything runs nicely. I'm going to go here, git add, git c, that is an alias, and I'm going to say plus C005 groups. Okay, so that will be our base, and I will amend on that, and that will be a first pass, yeah, but whatever. So now I have this, and so the reason why I created a new one is because I like often when I do my XP to have everything in one file, one function. If you look at the stream examples of Redis create, it's good, it's great, but they have multiple kind of functions, which makes sense in many cases. But I like to start in kind of a simple, fully inline mode, which is kind of ugly, but it's easy to follow. But then on this one, that is where it will add too much complexity to try to have everything in line, because then we'll have to duplicate all of this work. Yeah. So we don't really want to do that. So what we're going to do now is on this guy, we want to have multiple consumers. Actually, yeah, so that will be multiple groups and multiple consumers in a way. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the client here over there, client C4, and so that will be the C5. That will be a git log, git amend. And then after we have these guys, we are going to keep that. We might make it a bigger kind of, thing, such as the other guys can read in between. And we're going to increase that to 50. Yes. Again, that we can see more kind of interlacing kind of thing. And then this is where we are going to start. So we're going to create our consumer group 1. I'm thinking here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do that. Can this guy do that here? And every time I copilot, autocomplete is pretty good, but for example, so first, every time you do a thing here, make sure git log, git amend, and then we're going to select that. Okay, am I being mean or not? Where did he put it? Okay, accept. Anyway, I don't know where he put it. This guy is crazy. Why? Why? I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this guy. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to have the group 1, and we're going to have something like we're going to be not that efficient right now. Yeah, we're not going to be that efficient. We're just going to do that. So it's going to be a fn create group. We want to have the client as client, I don't know, Redis client, awesome, and group name. And that will be a string here, and that will return our result boxed in. I think I have something like that, boxed in error. And that is a Rust 10x snippets. And then I go there, and I'm going to do that guy. And we need that to be async. And we need to return OK. So for now, we do that. And we're going to have that. Okay, and the stream name, that's fine. Stream name, str. Okay, so that will be good. And I go back over there. And I'm going to create this guy. And yeah, client, stream name, group 01. And await like that. Okay. We'll fix this guy later. And so now we're going to have this guy, group 02. So again, it's not efficient. Take the clone. We don't really care. Create the groups. Oh. No, actually, I don't want that. So for now, we are going to have multiple consumer, okay? So what we're going to do is we want to run consumer 1 and run consumer 2. So what we need in consumer 1 is have all these kind of things. Now, if connection while group creation is closed, okay, let me stop. Everybody has it, okay. Now, if connection while group creation is closed, then also it thinks that group already exists. Yes, yes. We won't do that here, but I believe you are right, Xavier. So we need to specifically check for busy group error. And then in this case, retry a while back. When we go to production here, so this is where, we're not going to solve everything. There's these little nuances here of when we create the things and all this kind of stuff. That we need to work on to make sure that it's resilient. Yeah, and I think what you are saying here, it's kind of a corner cases, but it's an important one to take care of. So that is a good one here. But we're not going to take care of it today in this XP here. So probably I will add a note at some point. So now what we're going to do, what I want to do is, so we did this function here to make it, simple and easy, which I don't like easy, but it's easy and to encapsulate the crate. And then we're going to run the consumers. And so we're going to have a run. So I like to use the word run often when I run something all the time. So that will actually match, the taxonomy I have. Run consumer. Yeah, consumer. And then we're going to give, what are we going to give to this guy? We're going to give, so we will create a new connection. Again, this is not going, connection will be better reused, yeah, but I'm going to follow the same pattern for now. And then we'll see that. Then we have those guys. And so it needs to know which group is the staff and consumer name. str. Now, the cool things about that is that this can return will return that guy. And we're going to take this, all of that, even the question is, yes, even that. So we're going to take that. Yep. That is an interesting question. So yeah, and so my thing is wrong here, but you're going to see why. So it's going to return the join handle of void. And so this one, I don't want it to be async because I don't want to wait on this guy anymore. So what I want is that, but I do want to return the join handle. Oops, sorry, I put it in the chat. And then I'm going to put something like that. So that should work pretty well. Then we go back here. And then we do it here. So that will allow me, shouldn't be too bad. And then that will be an import. This, which one it did? No, Tokyo task. I took the wrong one. And then this one will be, I think I can do a thing like that. Group name. And then I will say connection here. And I'm going, again, this is not at all, this connection will have to be redesigned when I go. But I think I can create it there. Ha! Interesting. Yep. Okay. That is going to be confusing, but that's fine. Okay. It's kind of confusing here. So the reason why it's confusing is because now this is async, but when we're going to do the await, we're not going to await on this guy. That is going to return that because we don't want to block on it. We want to have these guys running in parallel. So that's a little bit confusing. We'll solve that later. And then the connection. And that is pretty good. Okay, fair enough. So why he doesn't like it? Stream name, okay. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Yep. So we could put it static, those guys. We're going to put it static for now. Because here there's a reference, yeah? So you wouldn't really know. So right now I'm going to cheat a little bit static, which is not going to be the case, obviously. There's a cool video from Logan Smith about arc SER, which is if you are cloning a lot of string all the time because it's IDs and stuff, arc SER is a good pattern. Here we're just going to put it static for now. And then I should have consumer 01 handle. I think I'm good. Yeah, I think it's good, yeah. And so now I'm going to take this, I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to run that guy. And I'm going to give the client stream name, group name, and consumer 01. I'm going to put it await, which doesn't await that it runs, it's just await thing. Wait for it. Okay. So this one is clear. And then we have that. And so read consumer await. Everything compares. If we go to cargo watch, it's beautiful. Exactly what we want. We have 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is pretty good. Yeah, so everything is working pretty nicely. Yeah, we have 50, so it's going to go up to 50. And then we have the consumer 1 here. That is pretty cool. Okay. Now, the thing I have a question in my head is, where is the write? All the writes happen at the beginning? Oh, no, good. It started to read, but the write was much faster because, again, we are waiting by design 800 milliseconds. And we're writing every 500 milliseconds. Yeah. So that makes sense. Okay. So we have that. And if we press save, if we run it again, everything works. It's already created. Oh, no, it's not. It's funny. There's one thing I don't understand is why is it already created? Because we delete the stream. So it should have deleted the group as well. Interesting. Or perhaps because I started at the middle. We're going to make it a little bit lower here, 20. We're going to stop it here and we're going to do a git log. git amend, and I'm going to push that for you guys that you can play with it. There's one thing here that I'm not really sure about, is why that is group name already exists. I don't get it. There's something that I don't get, is why. I'm going to make it a little bit faster, this guys. I'm going to divide more or less by 2. The thing I don't understand is why the group name is already created. Well, but that's not nice, yeah? So, Xavier, you said there's a distro group command, but the thing which there's something is not adding up is, why do I need to clean my group? Because I cannot create a group, I think, on a stream that doesn't exist. This is why we have the MK stream stuff. So I will assume that the group name is attached to a stream. And so I'm not sure why deleting the stream wouldn't delete all of the group attached to it. That worries me now, yeah, because that means that I have to be careful about cleaning up this kind of thing. I think deletes the message. You're right. That make. No. The there delete the key. Delete one or more keys. There's an XDR there, or the trim extreme that delete the messages. But this one should delete a key. Yeah. And the key is, it's their generic stuff to have any key you have. But anyway, it doesn't delete the group. Yeah, so the group already exists. So a group can be detached from the things, but once you recreate it, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. And I think you're right, Xavier. If we wanted to clean it, we could clean it. In my case, honestly, I don't know if I will clean groups. Perhaps as a sanity check, but I wouldn't count on it. Yeah, because otherwise too much stuff. But here I delete the group. This delete stream, usually we don't use it often. Yeah. But that there's something here that needs to be think about. So if I press save again here, it's already created, yeah? Oh no, group created successfully. Aha. I think we're good. So now we're at the end. Everything is done. We deleted the stream 05, yeah? And now I'm going to press save again. It runs again, and look at that group name created successfully, yeah? And obviously there's a bug here in group name. Create group. Group. Oh, it's me. I've done a mistake here. I want group 01. Otherwise, it gets very confusing. So you see, so if I run it here, it created group 01, which is fine because we changed the name. And then if we go at the end and we delete the key, the stream, that's good. Yeah, we delete it. I've waited to delete it. I press save again, and I'm fine. I'm creating a group. Group is created successfully. Now, if I don't wait the end, I press save. They redo the things, but I didn't. Now it's going to say already exist. So it makes sense. When we delete the stream, it deletes all the group with it, which is good because otherwise, these kind of things can have quite a bit of memory leaks. So that's cool. Now you can also delete the group. Yeah, a stream usually you can delete them. Yeah, in our case, in some of our cases, we are going to delete them. Yeah. They are temporary stream. There's one thing where you can use stream is when you do stream of AI staff. Yeah. So that could be, and then you want to delete it to free the memory. And so then that is pretty cool. So now we have this working well. And then we are going to do another one, which is going to be, we want to create another runner, which is consumer 02. And so now we're going to have two consumers. And what we're going to check visually, I mean, it's a little bit on the ugly side, that the consumer okay, something is not working the way I want it to work. Oh, I think I have. This is a bad one, I think. This is bad. Kind of knew it before when I did the stuff. Okay. And now this should be pretty good. So I should have consumer 2, consumer 1, but you see consumer 2 get 2, this one gets 3, consumer get 4, 5, and they could have been a little bit, you know, but because they're on step, yeah, they run very well. So that is pretty cool. And so it started at 0. Yeah. So this is pretty good. Git log, git c, minus for fix C05, groups, fix consumer name, and add second consumer. You have it on your side. And now that we have this, we are going to do the groups. So we can have multiple groups now. And so we're going to go back there. And we're going to create, so that is going to be our group 01. And we're going to have also a group 02. Okay. I always pad my numbers with 2, I don't know why. Okay. And then I have my consumer 1 and staff, that's good. And then in my group 02, I'm going to have, I could have the same consumer if I want, but we're going to have other consumers. We're just going to have one, we don't need too many. G02, group 02, and A. Yeah, we're going to call it consumer G02, A. Change a little bit the naming, but that's fine. And then I do that, and wait. Press save, go back there. And now I should have my consumer 1 and staff that goes and read all the time. Yeah. And that my J2 that read again at 2. Oh, no. Hey. Look at that. It didn't work, yeah? So I took 2 on J2, and then I have consumer 1 again on this guy. So that was bad, yeah? And so I like symmetry here. So I'm going to do G01, A. G02, B. No, I'm sorry about that. I hate when I'm slow. B. C01B. Okay, so we have this C01, we have this guy, and then we have only one guy here. So that's good. And now this is group 1, so it's not going to work the way we expect, yeah, because the G02 will take 1, which then the G01 will get 3. So we don't want that, yeah? And that is because we didn't use group 2 here. Now we press save. And now we have fixed that. Oh my God. We have fixed that stuff, which is we have G02, and G02A, it's group 2, took 0 again. Yeah? But G01B took 1. Everything is working nice. And the 02 is going to take 1 again, which is fine. So it's 2 different groups reading and stuff. And now I'm super happy because I really understand this is a way I know it's a little bit tedious and a little bit long, I understand. But this is a way I learned to make sure that the base stuff, I'm not making the wrong assumption on all these kind of things. Okay? And it's not perfect, but I can come back to it. And so, for example, the things that you were saying here with this one, which is a very good one with busy group, is definitely something that I need to come back and see if I can produce the problem and then see what happened. Yeah. Now, that is where we're probably going to stop today. Now, there's another thing that I was thinking. So I'm going to have GC. I'm going to put that, yeah, or it's an enhancement in a way. C05 groups, add group 02. Yeah. Git push, then you have it on your side. So again, if you go to the repo over there, you are going this one. You are going to have it on the branch. So if we go there, up this one, and you go to that branch. Where's the branch? This one. Then that is our commit today. And I'm going to merge it with master, with main later. So now that we have that, so there's one thing, and I don't know if it works quickly, I'm going to do it now. One thing I wanted to do is to say, what if, and for that, in a way, I'm going to clean that. And it's much more work. In production, you want to do more work, but sometimes doing cheap ways like that helps a lot. So I go to my cargo watch. I'm going to do this. If I do a run here, it should kaboom because error connection refused. I do that. And I'm going to do a save. That will run. Now, if I bring it at the middle, then boom, I have panic, fail to read stream and everything. So there's one thing which is super important when you build systems for resiliency. Resilience is one of the most important things, much more than performance. Resilient means that if something stops, it can restart by itself. Some big companies are calling it self-healing or whatever. You can give it whatever fancy name you want. But what we want here, and sometimes the client library take care of 90% of the problem, where they have a retry kind of things. So I don't know if the client here has a retry. Yeah, number of retries. So that is pretty good. So that is one thing that we will need to look at, is to say, how do we manage if for a little while the server is down to make sure that the pods reconnect and everything? Otherwise, if your server goes down, and even if you do cluster and everything, things can always go down. So there's two ways of treating it. Yes, to say, well, we have a high availability, we have, I think, nothing that goes ever down. We are so good, and it's so, redundant and everything and stuff. That's one way. Okay, it's possible. Regardless, even if you have that, always have the simpler things as well to make sure that things can reconnect. And so even if you lose the request when the things were down, okay, you lose them, but at least when it goes back up, you don't have to reboot the whole platform, yeah? So there's different tiers of resiliency. One is to say, the very simplest, if there is one part of the system that goes down that is required for other part of the system, at least when it goes back up, the other parts doesn't have to be restarted. Yeah? So they can say, oh, now I have my guy, it's there. Okay? So that is kind of important here. And sometimes in connection, and specifically on this guy, and database connection is the same thing, is when you do pool, yeah, like Kafka, you do pool, then that is simpler, because if it's not there, there's nobody, and then the next pool, you will have somebody. For those guys, this connection, long-lasting connection, is great because you have lower latency, but the catch is, if it goes down, you want to make sure that you keep trying to reconnect whenever it is on. More or less infinitely, yeah? I don't know infinitely, but you want to keep, seeing if the guy is back up. So that is the first level. Even if you lose a request while the server was down, at least, when you put the server back up, things start to work. And it's the same thing. And then after the next level is to say, well, we want to make sure that if it's down not too long, yeah, minutes or seconds or minutes, then it can keep the things queued somehow or whatever, and then it can retry the specific command. That is more involved because you can create other issues, but that is the next level. So that is a little bit the two things to think when you do a production coding. So hopefully that was helpful, and I think I've learned quite a bit, so I'm happy, and I hope you did too. If you have any comment, feel free to comment over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to probably go to git s, it's an alias, to switch main git merge xp live 02, good push origin, and then you have everything over there. Okay, hopefully you like this session. Please feel free to add comments if you want to see more code, more faster, less diagram, more diagram, visualization and all these kind of things when I explain things like that, or if you want to see more code, all these kind of things. Today I forgot, I made myself disappear for a while, and then I didn't check, and so that's why there's a portion where I'm not on screen. Okay, until next one, happy coding.